Hi, I'm Tasha, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you this new release from Graciellie Designs. It's a digital stamp set called Words of Hope with these beautiful orchids, and I wanted to share with you how I went about colouring those today. Okay, let's get into it. Start off, I'd just like to point out the rectangle that you can see printed around my flowers. That's just a little trick that I do when I'm printing digital images and I want to make a one layer panel. I put a rectangle into Publisher, just smaller than the size of an A2 card, and that just gives me it just guides me on how big the panel will be to make sure that I can size everything properly and have stuff where I want it to be on the final panel. I just put everything inside that, and then when I've finished I trim that off and the panel's the right size. So yeah, that's just a little thing I do. Makes it a lot easier for me. I chose I looked for some photos of orchids when I was trying to decide how to colour this, and I found a type of orchid. I'm not going to try and say the name because I can't, but I'll have it linked down below. Basically, you get them in all different colours, but they have this amazing texture within the petals that I just loved. So that's what I decided to colour these orchids as today. Started off in the centre, and I made the centres quite dark because the majority of the colour of the all the photos that I saw, the darkest colour is on the inside. So that's what I decided to do. And I just, rather than going one flower at a time, I do it like as if it's a batch. So I start colouring the inside and I colour all of those, and then I'll move on to the petals and I'll colour all of those, and so on until I've finished everything. I just think that's the quickest way for me to do it, but also it's the best way to stop me from getting confused and colouring the wrong thing in the wrong colour. As well, at the top of the page there you can see that I've made lots of little marks with colours, and there's pencil scribblings. I don't know if you can actually make out what I've written, but basically that's just where I've chosen the colours that I want to use, because I like to choose and test them in advance so I know exactly what I'm using. So I showed you that those are the two colours that I used for the insides. But as I said, everything will be linked down below, and I've got a blog post with more information on. Okay, I skipped ahead a little bit because I'm not used to filming myself colouring, and the other petals that I coloured, you couldn't actually see me colouring them because my hand was completely over them. This one is slightly better. So I start off, I take what I want to be my darkest colour and I add that into the areas where there would be shade. With a picture like this where you've got those lines, Gracie has already helped you out anyway. She's giving you a hint at where those shadows would be, so just follow that. I then do things a little bit differently. Once I've done my dark, I then map out what I want to be my highlight, and add those in. That is basically just because otherwise I forget and I get carried away, and then I don't leave enough space to have a proper highlight. So that's why I do it that way. And 9 times out of 10 when I'm colouring flowers, at least, the highlight colour that I use will be E50. Even if I don't leave just the E50, I like to put that down, and then once it's dry I go over it, and it just makes the colour that you're putting over it, it just gives it a little bit of a lift, that I like for my highlight. E50, I do pretty much use it on everything. That's a Kathy Rack tip. She's fantastic. If you want to learn anything about colouring, go to Kathy. She is amazing. Again, I'll have her linked below. So you can see we just went through dark, then my highlights, then I went over it, blending out the colour with my sort of medium colour, and make sure you use I always use a flicking motion, and always go in the direction that your plant, your leaf, your petal, whatever it is going, because that just helps to make it a little bit more lifelike, realistic. Okay, moving on to the texture on the inside. The most important thing here is to let the petal dry. So you've laid down all your colour, it's how you want it, you've got your highlights, you've deepened any shadows. Then I moved on and did another yellow petal. I didn't add the dots straight away, because if the ink is still wet, then the colours are all going to blend in together. That's the fantastic thing about alcohol markers. The colours will blend, but I don't want them to blend here. I want to see that texture. I want to keep that there. So make sure that you let it dry. And then literally I just put dots. That was the texture that was in the petals that I saw. That's the texture that I really wanted. So I added dots. I started off sort of with my not darkest, but next to darkest, and added some dots just literally randomly. I then moved up to a slightly lighter, added some more. Then I moved up quite a bit to a very light, because I wanted to have that lets that colour not blend into the rest of the petal, because as I said, I don't want them to blend, but I also don't want it to look like it's something that someone's painted on the petal. I want it to look like that's how it's grown, that those colours have bloomed out from the centre as the petal has grown, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And once you've done the lighter, the very lightest, basically the darker colours you want to keep towards the centre, and the lightest, they lighten as you go out, but not in light rings, because nature isn't like that, you know. It is random. That is why I love colouring plants like this, because you don't need to worry about it. You don't have to worry about getting that perfect blend, because I'm not after that perfect blend, so there's no need to worry about it. That's why I love doing flowers. I find it quite freeing, and yeah, just not having to worry about, oh, am I going to get the right colour? Am I going to blend it properly? I don't want to, so I don't need to worry about it, basically. And then once I've done all the rest of them, I add what, thanks to another YouTuber called Courtney Grieber, I know as the Scary Dark, because you want to have a really dark colour, because that gives you that variation in tone that we're looking for. I will link to her below as well. Her channel is fantastic. If you haven't seen it before, you need to check it out. So the leaves, really, really basic colouring here. I only actually used 2 colours. I didn't even add anything else, just a darker one, and then I went darker where the shadow would be, and where the leaf would meet the stem, and you know, where it's sort of sitting behind any of the flowers, and lighter towards the end. I add the darkest bit at the bottom, I then add the lightest, and where they meet I then just go back and go over it and add a little bit more of the dark, just to blend it in. Again, flicking motions in the direction of the leaf, the direction that the leaf would be growing. The buds, I wanted them to look like they were getting ready to bloom, so when I'd looked online to have a look, so to see what the buds would look like, that's what they sort of tended to be, that they were green at the bottom where the bottom of the flower would be, and there'd be some colour towards the tip as the you know, as it's opening up. So yeah, that's what I went with. What I'm doing here is I like to go around the outside of my image with a very light grey marker. This is just because I like the way that looks. I feel like it makes the image stand out a little bit from the background. Almost makes it look like it's sitting a little bit forward, like there's a bit of a shadow behind it. Once I've gone around the whole of the image with the grey, I then take a blender marker and I just go around the edge of where I've put that just to soften it out so there's no harsh edges. Okay, next we're going to foil the sentiment. You need to make sure when you're foiling that you heat your laminator up enough. I leave mine on for ages. I actually had it on the entire time that I was colouring. Okay, then you put it in the paper. Don't worry when you take it out, you peel it back, some of the tone will have transferred. That's fine, it's fine. That's why we put it inside the paper. But just check that out. Oh, I love it. It makes my heart so happy. It's just so pretty. Also, don't get rid of the negative. I'm going to link my friend in below. She's amazing, and she's got a technique for using that leftover foil so you're not wasting it. Okay, I trimmed it down, added the lines around the edge just because that's just because that's how I like it. I then added on some foam adhesive tape. Ignore how terrible and tiny pieces and things it is on there. I don't know what was going on with me that day, but hey. I peel those bits back and leave them attached so it's easier to line it up. That's also why I had the glue dots. You don't need the glue dots, the tape will hold it on its own, but having that little bit of wet glue stops the panel from sticking straight away, the foam tape from sticking straight away. It just gives me a few extra seconds to make sure that I'm happy with where it is on the card. And then added some sequins and some Nuvo drops, and that was my card. I really hope that you liked it, that you've learned something even, and if you try this technique, I would absolutely love to see it. Okay, I will leave a link below to Gracie's shop where you can purchase this new set, Words of Hope. She actually has a sale going on at the moment, so even better. And while you're there, you can check out the other designs that she's got. She has some really beautiful things. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming back to my channel. Stay safe, crafty people, and stay crafty. Bye.